Hey friends, and welcome back to the playthrough test between Chibson and Harley Benton. Yeah, so as promised, when I recently bought this Harley Benton SC450 plus LD, I did say that I would compare it to the Chibson Les Paul from China. Now, both built in China, as far as I'm aware, and both of them incredibly similarly appointed. When I say appointed, I mean in terms of spec. They are both very, very similar in terms of their overall specification, and not only that, but they're pretty similar in their playability as well, which is surprising given that this one cost almost twice as much as this one cost. And I think you can see where I'm heading with this in terms of value and in terms of the fact that I'm not a big fan of people infringing that. This is one of 3 infringing guitars that I bought, and although I've done some modifications on it, most notably the change out of the roller bridge and also the compensated nut filler at the top there. Everything else on this is pretty much stock as it came, and other than taking off the pick guard and having a bit of a play with the height of the pickups, this one, the Harley Benton, is exactly as it came from Thomann. And I have to say, I'm very, very, very impressed with this. I wonder if you can hear the rain in the studio there. It's probably not picking up on this wonderful Sennheiser mic. But so today what I want to do is I want to do a little playthrough for you of both guitars. I'm going to give them a bit of a shot. And somebody asked me not to do it through the orange amplifiers. So this time what I'm going to give you is I've plugged in through TH2 and I've set up 3 tones, 1 clean, 1 breakup and 1 dirty tone. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the same riff on both guitars in each position, and then I'm just going to cut between those 3 tracks so that you get exactly the same thing played. So hopefully you'll pick up what it sounds like on both guitars. We'll start with a clean sound and then we'll work through the crunch and into the dirty. And also I'm going to give you a little of a breakdown of the specs between these two and where they differ and where they're entirely similar. So we'll go and have a look at that in just a moment, but first let's have a listen to the sound quality of each of these. Now, it's been really handy because what I've done is I've used the cheap Chinese cables that came with both of these, and so if there is a little bit of hum or noise, it's probably down to that and not down to the guitars themselves. And I've used the Fender ABY pedal the other way round. So basically I've got the 2 guitars switching into the inputs and taking the single output into TH2. So that's come in really handy on this video as well. Anyway, let's start with the clean tones and I'll work from bridge right the way up to neck on both. Now we move on to the crunch tone. then finally onto the distorted tone. Wow, now it's really raining here. So I hope you can hear the different tones in that. Incidentally, there will be a little bonus sound feature at the end of this video. As always, for those of you that watch my videos until the end, if you like my videos, please think about subscribing and maybe giving it a thumbs up, and also push the bell icon to make sure that you get notified of my future videos. So let's go and have a little look at the comparison between the two specifications of these instruments.
Okay, so the first important thing to note is that the Harley Benton was only £137.89 and the Chibson was £220.66. Both have a mahogany body, both have AAA flamed maple tops, or at least veneers. They both have a mahogany neck and they're both set neck. The C-shaped profile on both is the same, but the Chibson is probably about 2mm thinner. The neck is a little bit thicker on the Harley Benton. The fretboard is blackwood on the Harley Benton, which is a form of baked and resin dyed maple, and the Chibson, I believe, has something similar. It says rosewood, but I don't believe that under CITES that rosewood would be getting through. Fretboard radius looks almost identical on them both. They've both got trapezoid inlays, and the ones on the Harley Benton, as I said in the unboxing video, are not centered. But on the Chibson, they're actually a little bit crooked as well, so neither of them got that right. They've both got cream colour bindings on the body and the neck. Both have 22 frets. It's exactly the same scale length, which is both the same as the Gibson scale length, 24 3/4, which is 628mm. Nut width is 43mm on the Harley and just a little less, about 42mm on the Chibson. And on the Chibson, I've installed a nut compensator because it really wasn't intonating up through the neck very well. Both have a double action truss rod. The pickups on the Harley are those lovely Roswell LAF Alnico 5 vintage style humbuckers, but I really do like the sound of the PAFs on Greeny more. And I believe that they may actually be Epiphone pickups, but I'm not sure. They've both got three-way pickup selection switch. There's 2 volumes and 2 tones on each, with push-pull function for coil split on the Harley Benton, which is a really useful advantage over the Chibson. They have chrome-plated hardware. The DLX Tunematic bridge on the Harley would have been the same as the Chibson, but I replaced it for a roller bridge, as you probably recall. The enclosed die-cast machine heads on the Harley are the Clousson style, whereas the Chibson has the closed Schaller style tuning pegs, and both are now fitted with Diodario EXL 120 strings for good comparison, and they're both a lemon drop type colour. When I weighed them, I estimated the Harley Benton to be a pound heavier. It was not a definite science, but I believe the Chibson weighs around 7 and the Harley weighs around 8 pound. I really, really love the heel cut on the Harley, whereas the Chibson has got the Gibson style heel. But I think Harley Benton have improved on that. The span of the strings through the nut is a little straighter on the Chibson from the nut to the tuning pegs, whereas on the Harley Benton they splay out a bit, and I think this could increase the likelihood of binding, but it's a small point and it's only a small difference. When I opened it up as requested by one of my subs, I found that the Harley Benton does indeed have the small pots, potentiometers inside, and they do appear, the cavities, to be unshielded, whereas in the Chibson the pots are full size and very well shielded in the cavity. There is a paint, a shielding paint all around the inside of both the switch and the pots cavity. I did a small test on both, not scientific because I didn't remove the pickups. I measured it through a guitar cable, which you can do, but you have to remember that you have to have all the pots in open so that they're producing minimum resistance. They will add slightly to the resistance, but on both, the Harley came out with the bridge pickup at 15.8 ohms and the neck pickup at 8.4 ohms. And on the Chibson, the bridge pickup was 15.4 and the neck 8.2 ohms. So both pickups on the Harley Benton 0.2 ohms higher, which should give us an indication that there's more coils, so it should give a slightly higher output. The demos that I did, the clean tones are on TH2 and Rock 64 UK. The crunch tones are TH2, Rock 75 UK, and the distortion channel on the Lynch box, Mr. Scary. And I believe from my tests that the Harley Benton has the slightly cleaner and brighter tone about the pickups, and the Chibson is a little bit fuller and has a little bit more in the bottom end and a little bit more clarity in the bottom end.
Okay, so there is the specification, and as you'll see, they're very, very similar in terms of their appointments. The only difference being that the Harley's a little bit heavier. I really, really like the heel cut on the Harley, and I really quite like the feel of this guitar. It is a nice feeling guitar to play. The neck is a little bit thicker, but actually I quite like that, and the action on this is really, really nice. They've both got identical strings on them now, and the difference is, and also this wonderful Harley Benton has the push-pull coil splits, and also doesn't have any trademark infringements, so that's got to be a good thing. Unfortunately, this one does, but in its favour, that lovely roller bridge that I've put on here is really nice, and I have to say I really do like the sound of the pickups on the Chibson. I think they've got a real character about them. As much as I love the Roswell pickups on the Harley, I think that the stock pickups that came with the Chibson are Epiphones, and they just sound really quite nice. I had to put a compensated nut on the Chibson. It doesn't have the push-pulls. It hasn't got the nice heel joint. It's got a slightly thinner neck, and it is slightly lighter. But other than that, they're incredibly similar. Obviously, it doesn't have the push-pulls either. But the biggest difference between the two of them is that this cost me over 220 UK pounds, and this one only cost me 137. So if it comes down to value, there is an absolute clear winner all day long in the Harley Benton, not to mention the fact that it doesn't infringe any trademarks. So a real thumbs up to Thomann and to Harley Benton for producing what is effectively better than a Chibson. A Chibson price, in fact less than a Chibson price, with better spec and better appointments, particularly in the fact that it's got the push-pull coil splits. So I may be looking to try a set of iron gear Tesla Sharks in this Harley Benton in coming videos. And also I've got another unboxing on the way, and it is another one for our good bass player friends. I've been playing the Milton Fender jazz style bass that we got from China on all the recordings, and I've got another one coming, and I think you're going to be interested in it. Also, I've done another little bit of work on the Partacaster. The difficulty is in the new place I haven't got my workshop, and also my father's moved, so I haven't got his workshop, so it's really difficult to do the work on that, but I've done a little bit more on that, and there'll be a video on that really soon. So there'll be an unboxing and a Partacaster video coming up really soon, plus possibly the change out of pickups on the Harley Benton. And stay tuned to the end and you'll see the little playthrough demo I've done comparing the two of these in a little bluesy track that I put together and wrote especially. Played the drums, bass and the rhythm guitars. Actually, the rhythm guitars are all on the Harley, and then I've lead soloed on both of these guitars to give you a comparison. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, folks, and I'll be back really soon with more interesting stuff. Really look forward to your comments down below telling me what you think of these two guitars, and also what you'd like to see coming up in my channel in future, because it is all about you guys. That's why I do it, and I'll only do it all the time you're watching and you're letting me know what you want me to do next. So I will be back soon. In the meantime, you take good care.
One man, one channel, one desire for truth about quality guitars. China Guitar Sceptic.